I spend a lot of time in my kitchen. It's my happy place. You guys know this. Last week I added the backsplash, and that means that our kitchen is now really almost finished. This is a very hard-working kitchen. I am in here cooking or baking something multiple times a day, and so I really enjoy making it beautiful and cozy and have it be a warm and inviting place, but it can never get in the way of it being practical and functional. So it is actually a very fun challenge for me to combine the two, making it cozy and pretty, but also still making it super functional for myself. Now, one of the things that I am definitely running into at the moment a lot is that I don't have a light above the island. Obviously, you need a light above the kitchen island. So usually I'm cooking here and I'll be cutting my vegetables here, and then I will be cutting my meat here. But the only light that I have here is behind me, so I'll be blocking the light and I won't actually be able to see what I'm doing very well. Now, I have been going back and forth about what kind of light I wanted, which, as you guys know, it can take ages before I make a decision like that. The thing that I kept kind of fighting with is that there's already a lot of lights in the kitchen, which makes it a little bit weird. So we've got two lights here above the sink. There is a light in the range hood, of course. There's a light there on the countertop that is just pretty in the corner. And then there's a light above the coffee bar thing as well. So I figured having enough light above the island is important. So maybe I should do two lights because it's quite a big island. So I wanted to do two lights, but then there's already two lights here. I don't want to replace these two lights for one light just because I don't think I think this looks really nice. But I also don't think it looks really good to have two lights here and two lights here. So then I was thinking maybe one light with multiple light sources, like a little chandelier or something. But, you know, there is already a lot going on in here. We have a very busy wallpaper. There is stuff going on the walls. There's stuff everywhere, really. So I didn't want to make it more busy. So eventually, I landed on doing a simple, very, very simple dome-shaped lampshade. Just one big one. I think that is going to soften things a little bit because there's a lot of very straight square lines in the kitchen, and a dome shape would just kind of soften that. But it would also be just very simple, no patterns on it, no fabrics, just very simple. Turns out I actually have one of those. Actually, I have two of those. I have two of those lampshades sitting upstairs. I've had them for years. I got them for free, and I've never used them because they were too modern for my taste. But let me show you. Look at that. I still think they are too modern for my taste, but they are very, very simplistic. I don't like the color. It's very white, but we can easily change that. We can even change the inside color. So I think we're just going to put this up, and then we're going to see if we can change the look of it a little bit, but keep it very, very subtle. Now, obviously, I could very easily change out a light, especially now that this one is free and I don't have to spend a lot of money on a light and then change my mind. I can just put this up and we'll see how we go from there. Like, I don't know where the middle is. And this way, if I don't like it, at least I'll have a light here so I can see what I'm doing and I don't cut my fingers. And I can just search for something else. And I always feel like it's so much easier when there is something up there to decide what you want. Because then at least you can say, okay, I don't like a dome-shaped lampshade. You know, it's so hard going from nothing to an idea because there are so many options. There's just so many options. How am I gonna do that? I think I've said this before when I did the wallpaper. I'm not actually allowed to stand on top of the countertops because they say that it can easily break when you do that. So maybe I will put down a board again. I did that when I did the wallpaper as well. Just put a big board and then stand on top of that. I do believe that is a little bit more safe. Don't want to break this. That would be very, very sad. I won't be able to reach this with just a ladder, so don't have that much choice. Please don't crack, please don't crack, please don't crack. I feel like it's a really big lamp for this spot, but I don't know, maybe it might just work. And I was not going to do anything else with these anyway, so I'm just going to keep going with the plan. I'm going to hang this up. I might have a better idea for this. I think I have a better looking lamp thingy. No idea what that's called. Fitting? Is it fitting? It's fitting in Dutch. And also I'm going to use a black wire so that I can bring it all the way from that lamp all the way up here along the side of the beam, and it's not going to be as noticeable. So I'm just going to go upstairs and see what I have, and then I'm going to keep going. There was an old ventilation kind of thing in our ceiling, and we'd actually been talking about taking it down because it wasn't working even back when we moved in. But I thought that maybe if that thing at least still had power, then I could run a wire from there to the lamp, which would have been great. So I tried that, but no luck. No power? Well, that's sad. Now I could go and figure out why, but I really didn't want to. So instead, I will just take the ugly thing off and replace it with a very simple square piece of wood that I've cut with my laser machine, and that will at least hide the big scary hole in the ceiling, and that is it. That's all I'm gonna do. I will simply run the wire from one of the existing lamps above the countertop, which will also work fine. Good morning. I made a little bit of a silly mistake. Yesterday in the evening, we actually had to go out, so I figured I will just finish all of the wiring, the boring wiring stuff later that night, and I will show you what it looks like in the morning. So I did all that, and it was quite fiddly because obviously I have to turn off all the lights in order to be, you know, fiddling around with electrical wires. So it was pretty dark, and it took me a while, and it was very frustrating. But in the end, I was done. I was completely done. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to put up the lampshade so that you guys can see what it looks like. And as I was doing that, I realized that the socket thingy that I had taken apart and put on the wire is not actually supposed to be used with a lampshade. You know how these sockets usually have the screw bit at the end so that you can put the lampshade over it and then screw the thingy on top? This one doesn't have that. I mean, it's completely smooth. So this is actually used for when you just want to put up those pretty filament bulbs, just like that, without a lampshade. So that was fun. So I had to take it all off, at least I had to take the socket off and replace it. And I actually used the one that came with the lampshade in the end. So anyway, it's up there now. It is not completely finished just yet. I do have to do a couple of more layers of paint. So I spray painted the inside of the lampshade. I didn't really like the color of it, but then now when the light is on, it actually looks pretty good. I just have to do another coat. And then on the outside, I think I will just use a normal paint and see what that looks like, because I don't like it to be shiny. I would like it to be a matte finish. So I think I'm just going to see if I have any lacquer kind of paint that has like a satin finish or a matte one. So that's just going to take me a little while, and then I can put it back up and it will look really, really good. Nope, that's not gonna work. I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to be streaky, but I thought maybe that is a nice effect. But no, it isn't. I think I need a proper spray paint. So I thought I would give you a quick update on my knitting because some of you have been asking about it. This is going a lot slower than my previous projects because I simply haven't really had the time as much. So this is where we're at. I am working on the sleeve and it is becoming really, really pretty though. I am loving how this color turns out. It's absolutely beautiful. I do have a slight challenge because I didn't get enough wool. So this is two different types of wool if you've missed previous videos where I talked about this. And one of these I no longer have any of. So this is all that I've got left and I still have to do an entire sleeve. So I just texted the lady from the store that I've showed you before if she happens to have another skein of that from the same dye lot. If not, I will simply start with a new wool on this new sleeve. I think I would get away with that, especially because it's two different types of yarn. I don't think you're really going to see the difference, but I just want to make sure. So we'll see about that. I just wanted to very quickly show you that. Also, something very fun. Look at this. Look what I found. I found this at a little store that I passed last week. It was way overpriced, but it was so pretty. And I was actually looking for something exactly like this because first of all, I really like how it looks on top of like a cabinet thing. And I have one that is too low, so this would raise it a little bit, which would be nice. But also, this is just incredibly functional in the summer when you want to harvest from the garden. I don't really have a basket that's big enough. I always had to like walk back and forth. And now I can just put everything in here, which is perfect. So I am going to put this on top of the kitchen cabinet. I'm just going to take everything off because it's actually become a little bit messy up there. So I'm just going to rearrange things, put this on top and kind of redecorate the top of that cabinet, make it look a little bit more intentional. So in my last video, I have talked about wanting to do a shelf underneath the range hood and then have a rod underneath that I could hang pans down from. That is something that I've really wanted to do for a while. In fact, I have been thinking about the way that I wanted to store my spices since way before we got this kitchen, like when we moved in or maybe even before that, because I use those spices all the time, obviously. Whenever I cook anything, I am using those spices. And I really liked the way that I had it in our last house where they were just on little shelves on the wall and I could just grab them because you can see very easily that way what's inside. For this kitchen, I just couldn't figure out a place to do so because there's just not enough space on the left and right side of the range and the backsplash and everything. And on the right side, I could do it, but I think it would be too far away for me. I'd have to really bend over the stove, which might be on, or the countertop. So I just don't think that works very well. So the only thing I could think of back then was to make a little cabinet here on the left side of the stove and have it be drawers, and then I could put them in the drawers, and that has worked. I just really prefer being able to see them. So that is why I wanted to do a shelf right above the stove, like underneath the range hood. But a couple of you commented on that video that would be a bad idea because it would become too warm and there's steam coming up there, which actually makes sense. So that I might not do that. I think you're right. I think that's a bad idea. which means I still have that same problem. So I'm afraid I'm just gonna have to accept having to use the drawer for the for the spices. I did actually put a couple of them on the countertop here, and I could just, because I don't think I did a very good job, I could make sure that those are the ones that I use the most, of course. For now, I'm just going to start by putting up a rod so that I can hang things up there, because at least that's still happening. I knew exactly what kind of rod I wanted up here. I wanted a very robust looking cast iron handmade piece that would go with the very, very cool hooks that I'd found a while back, but I couldn't find that anywhere. At least not the length that I'd need. So we actually contacted someone in our neighborhood who works with steel to see if maybe he could make one for me, and he says he can, but obviously not like the same day, and I have very little patience left to finish this kitchen. And I had already gotten this curtain rod set to hang up here, but I was a little bit skeptical if it'd be strong enough. So I am still trying to get that piece made that I would really like, but until then I'm just going to put up this simple curtain rod, and I will definitely not be hanging all of my heavy cast iron pans right now. Also, if I hang anything in the center, it will bend. So I want to take a little pause here because I have something very special to show you. This is the cottage garden tea set from Aynsley, and you might remember that I've worked with Aynsley before, and I mentioned back then that you guys should really check out the cottage garden collection because I think it is so beautiful, and they remembered that, and so they sent me this beautiful set. Now, as I firmly choose to believe that the beginning of the year should be spring, this is quite fitting. It screams spring vibes with its soft and cheerful colors, and this teapot is quite large. I can easily fit 4 or 5 cups of tea in there, which I love because I tend to forget to drink enough during the day, so this way I can quickly refill my cup without having to make new tea. This time we are also doing a giveaway together. Aynsley has given me 20 of these cottage garden mugs to give away to you. If you would like to enter the giveaway, it's very simple. Just leave a comment below and tell me what kind of tea you usually drink, or if you're more of a coffee person, that's allowed too. Also head over to Aynsley's channel. I will leave a link in the description, and subscribe to them as well. And then before my next upload, I will pick 20 winners and send you one of these lovely little mugs. So keep an eye on your notifications because I will reply to your comment if you've won, so do not miss that. There are only a couple more things to do until I can call this kitchen finished, or at least finished enough. But before I keep going with that, I thought it'd be fun to share what we're having for dinner today, because it doesn't get much more Dutch than this. We are having stamppot, also sometimes called hutspot. It's basically vegetables mixed with mashed potatoes, and it doesn't sound or look very appealing, but it's really, really good. I am making a very classic version today with what I am not 100% sure what to call because it's very confusing. We call it andijvie, which would translate to Andive, I think, but then I've also shown you witlof a while back, which is also called Andive, so I'm not sure, but andijvie is a little bit more like lettuce, and that is the one that's traditionally used in stamppot. So please tell me what you call it. Is it Andive or chicory, maybe? Anyway, I am serving it with meatballs today. It is often served with smoked sausage, but I don't like those very much, so meatballs it is. I am actually making a whole bunch of them here so that I can freeze the rest. I will leave the recipe for the meatballs as well as the Stamppot below. So to sum it up, I boil the potatoes and I add some milk and butter to turn them into mashed potatoes. Although for this recipe, I do not worry so much about having chunks as much. I don't really mind them in this dish. Then while the potatoes are still really hot, I will add the andijvie, which will make it wilt, but it will stay nice and fresh and a little crunchy, which is nice. The only seasoning I'm adding here is salt and pepper, but I am not going to be stingy on the pepper, and a little bit of nutmeg. You do want to be careful with the nutmeg because it can be really overpowering. I am also cooking up some onions with bits of bacon and some garlic, which I will mix in with the potato mixture later. And then, because we are treating ourselves today, I am creating a nice gravy for the meatballs. If you have never had this, I really hope you try it out sometime because it is very much a comfort food. There are two more things that I want to get done before I'm going to call this kitchen finished, even though it won't be completely, because there's one thing that I just can't do, and that is the bar stools. I think I have found the bar stools that I like. I think I've finally made a decision on that, but they are kind of pricey, so I think I'm just going to save up a little bit for that. I will show you a picture of what they look like, though. I do think they will go very well in this kitchen, but for now we're just going to do two small little things. First of all, I'm going to put something up on the range hood. So I talked about this in my last video where I showed you a picture of a range hood with slats on the front and then just paint over them, and that just gives it a little bit more detail, which I think would have been really nice. Except what I realized later is that if you put them here on the front, obviously you'd also want to do them on the side, and then it would become too wide. Even if you do little slats, it would become just as wide as the wooden trim thing, which I don't think would look very good. So instead, I think I'm just going to put something on top, like hang something from it, just something decorative, and I actually found something that would, I think, look really nice. Look at this. I've got a couple of these tiles. We've got this one. I need to clean them up a little bit, but different versions with a windmill. Then there is, well, actually they all have a windmill. This one is slightly different. They already have this little thingy that I can hang them from. So I think I'm just going to put tiny nails into the range hood cover and just hang them from that. And then maybe later I will make a nice little frame for around them, because I think that would look really nice as well from wood. But for now, I'm just going to hang them up. Now, some of you actually suggested putting a clock up there, which is a brilliant idea. I think it makes a lot of sense to have a clock there. So it's a really good idea. It's just that I have an unhealthy hatred for clocks. I really, really hate clocks. I hate the sound of them. First of all, I hate the ticking. It drives me completely mad, and I will hear it all day. It gets into my brain. It's really, really stupid. And then also, what I really don't like is constantly being reminded of what time it is. Every time I will see that clock, I'd be like, oh shoot, it's already 2 o'clock. Oh, I'd have to leave at 2:30. I have to pick up Ruben from school. I have to make sure that I don't forget. Should probably not start that one project anymore because, you know, I don't really have enough time to finish it anyway. So basically, having a clock would slow me down instead of making things more efficient. So instead, what I've actually been doing for years, we have no clocks in the house, none. So the only clocks we have are digital, so our phones and our computers, they have a clock. What I do when I really have something that I need to keep track of the time for is set a timer. So I will just set a timer for 15 minutes before I have to leave or before I have to do something. And I know that when that timer goes off, whatever project I'm doing, I will have 15 minutes to wrap things up. And I will sometimes just leave in the middle of a project, but at least I got that far into the project instead of not starting it because I might not have enough time to finish it. Is that weird? I mean, do any of you relate? Because I don't know anybody who hates clocks as much as I do. So let me know in the comments if I'm not alone. Anyway, let's put up the tiles and then I will show you the other thing that I want to do, which was actually very spontaneous. So let me show you in a bit. Wow. These look so much bigger down there than they do up here. They definitely need a frame because they are tiny. I'm gonna put them up still. I don't like it. I think it looks really stupid. They are way too small. They really did look so much bigger. They are pretty big tiles, but it's also a pretty big range hood cover. So they kind of disappear on there. That looks so dumb. Nope, I don't like that. I'm gonna take them down and we're gonna leave it empty until I think of something better. Some of you actually mentioned doing a wreath that would work for all seasons, which I think is a really good idea. So maybe I'll make something like that later. The door in our kitchen leads to our pantry, and even though that is a project that I really hope to tackle this year, for now it is very ugly and you can see it through the glass of the door. And when we moved in, this door used to have kind of a wavy glass with a pattern in it, which made the room behind it less visible, but that glass was very thin and therefore very dangerous, with kids often running circles through our house. So we had those panes replaced with safety glass, but that made it very see-through. So until the other side is beautiful to look at, I will use a privacy film to close it off a little bit. I think it will add even more coziness to this kitchen, and additionally, it will hide the fact that Folks is constantly putting his wet nose up against the windows and kids are touching the glass with sticky fingers. Wait!
I can't see anymore.
No! Yeah. I think we can call this kitchen finished, or at least as finished as it's going to be, because obviously I will always be changing some things around. I will be adding decor here and there. I will figure out what to do with the range hood cover later, but it doesn't bother me as much the way that it is now, especially with so much other stuff going on. So I'm just gonna leave it for now. I obviously, as I said, I still need to get those bar stools, but that is also not something that's really missing. So I'm gonna call it done. I'm gonna call it finished. I am very excited about how it looks. I will show you some footage of what it looked like before I started, so right when the kitchen got delivered, because even though the kitchen itself is quite pretty, it was very white and bare and boring. So it's really fun to see the difference. Now, if you have made it all the way up to here in this video and you're not yet subscribed, please do so. I would really love to have you here. For now, I am going to call it a day. I really, really hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.